all for coming here tonight, and for the amazing guys at UX Crunch for putting almost one meetup per week. How incredible is that? Amazing effort. Thank you so much. All right, my prototyping talk is called Yellow Butter Dish Cover. I'm a UX designer working in a telecom called IDEO Mobile. And the reason it's called Yellow Butter Dish Cover is the Apple mouse. So, on the 80s, Xerox invented the mouse, or someone at Xerox invented the mouse, and then the mouse had 3 buttons, and it cost around $400 to build one single mouse, which is very, very expensive at the time. And then Steve Jobs came along. Lisa was about to be created by Apple, one of their computers, and Steve Jobs called in a design firm called David Kelley, which later became IDEO, amazing. And then Steve Jobs gave the briefing that I want a single mouse click button, that's it, and it can't cost more than $25. So from 400 to 25, and also at the end he added his Steve Jobs bonus touch. He said, and also I wanted to work on my jeans like this. That's it, that's Steve Jobs. And then they made it, right? And I'll share David Kelley, the founder, one of the founders of IDEO, talking about his prototype. As soon as it starts. Nope.
Hello, I'm David Kelley. I used to be important around here. Here's the very first prototype of the mouse that we made. It's falling apart. The first ball was out of a roll-on deodorant bottle, and the first cover was a yellow butter dish cover. This was the breakthrough from a kind of an engineering point of view. A very complex part that was injection molded, and then all the other parts just clipped in.
How cool is that, right? How confident are you with your prototype that you're showing to Steve Jobs something made out of a roll-on deodorant ball and a yellow butter dish cover, right? So it got me thinking. It's kind of easy to know what a prototype is, but then again, what isn't a prototype, right? And I think I figured it out. There's one rule only. It's a simple rule. It's a rule. It's an Infinity Gauntlet. Alright, so it's not an imagination exercise. It can't be an imagination exercise. And if you are in a prototyping session and someone starts with, let's imagine, and then this, you go. And then if there is a stakeholder in the meeting, and the guy starts with, let's imagine, right? It cannot be an imagination exercise. And the reason is, let's imagine a house. If I ask you guys to imagine a house, I will have 80 different houses in your head right now. So we can start with let's imagine something. I Googled a house. There's 1,920,000,000 different houses. And there you go. I'm browsing. Big houses, small houses, houses with many different types of windows, cartoon houses, more cartoon houses. There's all the small houses, big houses, igloos, capitolios, and then this one, which is not this one, it's this one. So it's the red one. So many, many different houses, and that's why it is not an imagination exercise. Because imagine back then in their meeting going like, let's imagine a container, or let's imagine a rectangle, or you put a rubber ball inside. So it doesn't happen. You must create something. This gentleman is James Dyson. He created the Dyson vacuum cleaner. This is the smile of a net worth of 7.8 billion. So quite a fortunate guy. And he has his creation in his hands. And there's a video a bit of the story of Dyson.
Corded vacuums may look like they've moved on, but the motors inside them haven't really changed since they were invented over 160 years ago. They're big and heavy. The motor we needed simply didn't exist. So we've spent 17 years developing, prototyping and testing, learning through failure if you like, to create an intelligent digital motor that's smaller, more efficient and much faster.
17 years and 5,126 prototypes, failed attempts. This guy tried 5,126 times. Are you willing to fail? How many times? And his story is, he was a simple guy. He's from England. You should be very proud of that. And he was driving by a dust extractor factory. And in this, he's an engineer, right? And then there was this cyclonic extractor, which is a huge machine that spins to one side and then to the other side. So he saw that thing. And he's like, if that thing goes into a vacuum cleaner, because he was having problems at his house with the horrible bag, it would be stuck all the time. So he did it after 5,126 times. He created something. So, I love quotes. This is the first of many. Innovation is a series of repetitive failure. This is from Judah Folkman. He's studying he's a doctor. He's trying to understand how cancer evolves in our body to try to beat it, right? How cool is that? And this is Kevin Ashton, and he says that persistence turns everything into progress. How beautiful is that? This guy, by the way, is an inventor of the Internet of Things, those little devices. And he wrote an amazing book called How to Fly a Horse about creativity. You should check it out. So persistence turns everything into progress. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because I'll share probably the father of relentless and persistence, which is Leonardo da Vinci. So this gentleman, on the 1500s, and I find it very interesting because I'm from Brazil, and in the 1500s we had like naked Indians going around, and then this guy thinking about helicopters and things like that. So this guy would sketch people as he walked. So no mobiles at the time, right? He would sketch people as he walked just to get the nose or the eyebrows, and he delayed like the Last Supper, the painting, because he wasn't happy with Judah's face. And he was there. He didn't stop. He created things. So it iterated many versions. It's about iteration. It's not thinking about something many times. It's doing something many times. There you go. That's my quote right there. It's not thinking about something many times. It's about doing something many times. That's what prototyping is all about. And then this is Kim Scott. She's a huge boss. She works for Apple, Google, Facebook, all the big ones. And she says that the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same things and expecting different results. So there you go. You go crazy with this thing. And so this is from the book Sprint by Jake Knapp. Very interesting. And then he compares building a real thing against building a facade. A facade is something fake, right? For example, Hollywood, they're not in New York most of the time. They create something fake and you think it's real. So, and the reason he compares these things is because here, see, time, that's a constraint. We all have the same constraint, which is time. And then time goes by and is the realness. And as soon as you have something real enough to test, you can learn a lot until you launch. And then if you try to perfect that thing a lot, you are slowing down the learning process, right? And then he has this thing called the prototype mindset, and he shares 4 rules. So 1, you can prototype anything. There you go. Anything. Prototypes are disposable, just like Martin mentioned. So don't get attached to it. As soon as you create something, you can throw it away. And build just enough to learn, not more. So as soon as you learn something, there you go, they're disposable. You get rid of them, you build something new, you iterate, and then you learn. You can't stop learning. And the prototypes must appear real. This is very interesting. This, just like Martin mentioned again. So in order to get a genuine feedback, prototypes must appear real. Otherwise, users will start to help you build stuff. And they'll give you, like, what you can do like this. So it must appear real. So I'll share 2 examples I did. So this first one is a paper prototype. And while I was working for a startup the CEO, I was working to try to create solutions for local shopkeepers, right? And then the CEO, he wanted a registration form, like a chatbot. He didn't want a normal registration form. He wanted a chat to greet shopkeepers and, hey, instead of how many shops you have, those things, you wanted a conversation, a normal thing. And I'm telling him, not even Google is getting it right. If you have Amazon or whatever, sometimes the conversation goes weird. And then I was telling, and then he wanted like many options, and I was telling him, look, what if we start with 2 simple options? So do you have a website? Yes or no? If it's yes, you go down that path. If it's no, you go towards the other path. So I'll show you something very, very rough, what I did, just as a proof of concept, to tell him that it might not work to have many options. So for example, hey, since you have mentioned growing sales is important, we would like to know if you are online. Do you have a website? Yes or no? So there you go, like quartz, maybe you can just click and then we would show more things. And then no, all right, what stops you from having one? Is it knowledge? Is it cost? Is it time? And I did this with pen and paper, right? So, and then he wanted more options, and I was telling him that more options could be complicated. So instead of let's imagine this or let's imagine that or this is not going to work, I prototyped it, right? So just so you're back. By the way, do you think your website should just showcase information about my business or sell my products online? And then no, just showcase information about my business. Okay, thank you. Good to know. At this moment, what would you like to do? And then all these options, are they buttons? Can I click on these? Am I telling this chat about all these things? So it would feel complicated, and we wanted a very seamless thing to happen. And just to show you that you could prototype and test with a very simple paper prototype, I just threw sunscreens in Marvel app, by the way. If you guys, you should check it out. And it's for free, so pen and paper, and let me see if it works. Yeah. So you download, you take a photo of your design, my kids are there, and then you upload, you resize, you crop it. Very, very easy. And then, like I said, it's very rough, just to show you how it works. And then you crop the second one again. There you go. How easy is that? And then you add a link, you select the link, and then you link to an image, you link to the second image. You're done, you press play, and then you can test. How easy is that? No, you go to the other screen, boom, back there. So how easy is that, right? So it's not thinking about something many times, it's doing something many times. And then, it's just terrible. All right, just to show you what Google suggests. And then, for example, how to prototype. You can an app in Sketch, a game in Vision, and then, or how to prototype in Sketch, the very simple tool. You could create very easy wireframes, export into InVision. They're fighting now. InVision has InVision Studio. And then you could use Adobe XD, for example. You have Figma, which is to collaborate. And if you prototype in C, that's quite hardcore. Anyone here prototypes in C? Yeah, all right, I guess. Okay, it's very, very complicated stuff. And then prototyping in Excel, believe it or not. This is in the company I'm working now. And just to show you that whatever tools you have, it could work as a proof of concept, right? So you don't keep it in your mind. So we were in this meeting, and with the place where I work is an e-commerce and a telecom. So we sell handsets, data plans, and so you can pretty much buy like a mobile with a data plan. And I guess you all browse many websites we have, and not we have, I mean UK has. And pretty much we can browse by phone, or you browse by the monthly cost or things like that. So you can't do everything at the same time, and that was a challenge. Can we show to you, can I give them the option to check phone and plans at the same time? And we were like deep thinking, and that's a very hard thing to do. And so I looked at my boss, he looks back at me. And then I think in his mind it was like either Flavio shit his pants or he had an idea. So luckily at that time I had an idea, and he said, and then we were using Excel a lot because you have like data, a lot of data, and Excel is a very powerful tool to deal with data. And he said, and then I said, I think I can do it in Excel. And he said, are you going to prototype in Excel? Without the cigar, right? So that's me. And I said, yes, I will prototype in Excel. So I will show you something, just very rough what I did. And if I know with Excel, because I know. And then I will just show you the things that could be done. There you go. So, for example, you have like Galaxy Notes, and then all the phones there, and then the plans attached to them. And I just showed, for example, that, where is it? The filters right here. Alright? And my computer, I'm selecting 500 megabytes. So now we have only the 500 megabytes plan. And for example, Apple phones only, where if we love Apple, I love Steve Jobs, by the way. Alright, there you go. So we have all the Apple phones and only the 500 megabytes plan, so it's doable. So I use Excel as a prototyping tool, just to use as a proof of concept, and it worked. And if you guys are interested to know, so there's only one thing to do. If you want to prototype in Excel one day, right, if that happens in your mind, the trick is you format the picture, and you click on this button, and there you go. So move and size with cell. Otherwise, as soon as you sort, all the images will stay floating and you change the shit in the background. So this is the thing you need to do. There you go, that's it. As simple as that, right? And this is the start. This is only the start. Like I said, I love quotes, so I will end with a quote. So nothing begins good, but everything good begins. Thank you very much.